So this is going to be a little bit of a rambly video, but I wanted to talk about cosplay costs. So I have two cosplays behind me right now, my Alphonse armor from FMA and my handmade Jedi tunic. Just to give you an idea of how much it cost, my Jedi tunic was around $15 USD in order for me to make. I purchased the fabric from Goodwill. The inside fabric that I used for the lining was actually an old sheet that I had laying around, but as well I could have purchased this from a thrift store. The belt I got off Amazon for around $8. The pants I had already thrifted, but even then I think I only paid $2 for them. Same with my boots. They're my boots that I wear for nearly all of my cosplays that require brown boots. Al was entirely handcrafted foam. I already owned all the white fabric to use for his little stuff here, as well as the little rings, the pleather, and the black pants that I use, and the little tiny pouch on his leg. My dad had made that for me a couple years back, so the only thing that I had to purchase for Al were the spikes on his shoulders, the foam to actually make the armor, the undershirt, and the little baklava that I wear for my hood. Al cost me around $60 to $75 USD, but still fairly cheap considering that it's a whole cosplay made out of foam. In retrospect, we have my Detective Jester and my Fighter Jester cosplays. Detective Jester I think cost me around $100 to $120. I thrifted this fabric, I bought the buttons brand new, the lace was left over from Fighter Jester, this fabric came from Hobby Lobby, this was something I already had laying around, and I 3D printed all my little like knickknacks and accessories. I thrifted the shoes and I purchased the little lace gloves. So considering the fact that I already had a lot of stuff, including like the undersuit, the wig, and all that different kind of stuff, it cut down on cost. I think otherwise she would have ran about $200 USD. But again, a much simpler outfit for $100 compared to Al, who was much cheaper and more complex. And then we have Fighter Jester, and I'm going to out myself so much on this. Oh my gosh. I did a rough calculation recently because I started realizing just how off I was on my original estimate of her cost. We're talking like just a smidge shy of $1,000 to make her. Oops. But that's part of my point. Jester, I would feel like, is my most accomplished cosplay. She's award-winning. I'm so proud of that. But the armor was $40 for all of the armor. That includes the legs, the shoes, the hip, this. But that's not counting the Warbler. The Warbler was more expensive. But the fabric for her and my lovely little beads were literally about $800 plus. And then all the additional money comes in from like the Warbler and like shoes and stuff like that. But even with me already owning two petticoats and the white fabric that I used for the skirt, she still cost nearly $1,000. Cosplay's expensive, y'all. It's expensive. Cosplay can be an insane investment, not just money, but time. Jester took me 13 weeks on top of my full-time job to make her. Al was my first like official con crunch, and I don't ever want to do that again. That was a really horrible experience. It took me 16 weeks of intense work to be able to make him, and this is again on top of a full-time job. I guess my whole spiel with this is, you see these cosplays, you know, we've all seen the magnificent armors and the like intense LEDs and smoke machines, and it's really cool. And some people are incredibly good at creating stuff very quickly, or they have a job that allows them to have like more time flexibility. I don't have that, and I don't think a lot of people have that. So be mindful, I guess, is my takeaway from this on how much time and energy you put into cosplay and money, because it adds up. It definitely adds up. Now, I am very lucky enough to have it where I can afford making something like this. Now, Jester was something I made over the course of just over 3 months, so I was able to take a little bit of money from each paycheck and a little bit of money from my Etsy shop and be able to pay her, so it wasn't like I shelled out $1,000 up front. I would not have been able to do that. I don't think a lot of people can do that. Obviously, my Jedi tunic was much easier because it was one trip to Goodwill and a purchase off Amazon, and bam, cosplay. Just to wrap this up so I just don't keep rambling, my takeaways are, for if you are wanting to like legitimately make your own cosplays, make a budget. Check out your thrift stores, your discount stuff. Look in your closet to see if there's something that you don't wear anymore that you could take apart, that you could salvage, that you could somehow turn into something else, or legitimately just do a closet cosplay. If you are going to do an outfit, sit down and figure out what you need to break down and what you think is actually feasible for you to do in terms of cost and time and ability, and what you need to just let go of and say, this is something I'm going to figure out on another outfit. And also figure out, how willing you are to not have it be perfect. There's so much on Fighter Jester, for all the money I spent on her, there's stuff that I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's not as nice as I would have liked it. But I didn't have the skills at the time to do that. And that's part of what's so freaking annoying and frustrating about hobbies is you're not going to be perfect. You're definitely not going to be perfect. And there's always going to be stuff that you know later on that you could do better. But that's the part of a hobby. It's knowing how to change that for the next time. But yeah, that's my whole spiel. Cosplay's expensive. Know your costs going in. Don't spend $400 on dick bees. All right, bye.